Yo, what's good YouTube? I'm back with another reaction video, and we got Larry Bird trying to put Charles Barkley in his place. I wonder what this video is really hitting for, man. But yeah, let's get straight into the video, man. Subscribe if you're new, hit that like button, turn on that bell, man. We uploading every single day. And yeah, let's get straight into this video, man. Deeply appreciate y'all, man. You know, we on this road, we just hit that 1K, man. And I deeply appreciate y'all so much, man. I'm just gonna keep saying it, man. So it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for y'all, man. I know people see my hard work, but you know, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for y'all, though, you know. But let's get straight into this video, y'all. Larry Bird tries to put Charles in his place, the one that said he's not top 5 or top 3. Larry Bird, right? He put Magic and Larry Bird last on his list in one of my videos. Check that out too. But yeah, let's get into it, man.
From crazy egos on that legendary dream team of '92 to reaching the conclusion that this was Michael Jordan's era. Here's how Larry Bird put Charles Barkley in his place, only then to get put down by the one and only Michael Jordan. That dream team of 1992 was truly something, wasn't it? And it was only fair that there were a lot of egos, because in Chuck's own words, you gotta have an ego to be great. And there really was no shortage of it on the dream team. It's not really that surprising, is it? The greatest league in the world deciding not to take the 1992 Olympics as a joke and sending in a team assembled of only the greatest players to ever play the sport. That 12-man roster was headlined by Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. So, of course, it was going to have a lot of clashes of egos, because the room was just too small for all of them. Everyone had a point to prove, and there were only 5 places up for grabs. Actually 4, considering Michael Jordan wasn't sitting. I mean, duh? But for every other spot on the starting 5, there were all-time greats vying for a place on the team. As an NBA fan, it's hard to imagine if there's any other time or place I'd rather be. Oh, to be a fly on that wall. Fortunately, rehearing some of those stories and accounts from people and stars present there does wonders. So let's take a look at what Ahmad Rashad, a commentator, had to say. The story starts with a normal conversation on a pool table. Well, it's hardly a normal conversation if it's between his airness and Magic himself, huh? But these two blokes started talking about all things basketball. You know, the sport that made them so great. Now, as a rule of thumb, it's totally understandable for professional athletes to have as much confidence in their abilities as possible. It's just what gets them going, you know? But that doesn't go down well when you've got a room full of some of the biggest names to ever exist. Now, Ahmad Rashad recalls sitting there and being privy to what was happening with the Dream Team. He said that Michael and Magic's conversation turned into a back and forth as to who was the best, and about playing one-on-one and all that stuff. Unsurprisingly, more and more stars heard what was happening and wanted a piece of that conversation. Again, that's completely understandable. You play in that league, you come up against one another, you've got some wins, some losses, and you want to be counted among the best. But as Rashad remembers, Chuck got put in his place by the legendary Larry Bird. Now, if you've ever seen Barkley play, you know that he was a force of nature. An absolutely thrilling player who did things that many believed just weren't possible on the court. So it's not surprising that he wanted to be among the greats and wanted to be heard. After all, he was one of the best players in the 90s, an extremely tough era to play in. He was in his late 20s back then, and had played his entire career only in Philadelphia up until that point. And his greatest achievement so far was his insane performance at the 1991 All-Star Game, where he won the All-Star MVP. That's not bad for an entire career, but when you're up against the all-time greats, you've got to have a lot more to be part of those conversations, which is why Larry Bird didn't waste any time in shutting Barkley up, there and then. He told him that he needs to win a championship to talk. And, well, as much as we know that Chuck likes to talk,
I knew that. I knew that was coming because Shaq be getting on him too, man. Shaq be getting on Charles.
there really wasn't any response to that. Maybe if the Olympics had taken place in 1993, Barkley would have been treated with a bit more respect, because he would go on to win the MVP the very next year. Unfortunately, Bird probably would have shut him up even then, because Chuck's one of the greatest players ever to not win a championship in their careers. Bird, on the other hand, well, the less said the better, huh? The hick from the French Lick was also a pretty tremendous player. After all, he ruled the 80s alongside his good friend and big-time rival Magic Johnson. What probably made him the ruler of the roost was the fact that he was also a fantastic trash talker. And in conversations alone, you may get a seat on the table thanks to your achievements, but the loudest voice wins. That isn't to say that Bird didn't have a really good case for being the best player there. His career compares a little too well to Magic Johnson, and up until the late 80s at least, the all-time great talks were among 3, maybe 4 players only. Bird was certainly one of them. A 3-time NBA champion, a 2-time NBA Finals MVP, a 3-time NBA MVP, and also a 3-time NBA three-point contest champion, winning it all with pure disdain for the rest of the competition. Few people have ever managed better resumes than that. So no wonder he was one of the loudest players on that table. And he even shut another superstar up, Patrick Ewing. Yeah, the former Knicks legend and future Hall of Famer Patrick Ewing was also part of the Dream Team. But the first pick of the 1985 draft had the same problem in terms of achievements as Chuck. No rings. And that's a huge problem if you try to talk and want to be counted among the very best players ever. So Bird was quick to tell both of them that they don't get any say in this. They're really not comparing well with the other names there. That isn't to say they weren't absolutely fantastic players. They just weren't better than the all-timers present there and then. So like I said, back to the discussions. It came down to who was the loudest in the room and who had the best credentials to go with his voice. Of course, leading the arguments was the Celtics legend Larry Bird. And as many players over the years experienced themselves, you can't shut him up because he really did have everything. However, one way of even shutting the great Kodak is having the credentials and the talent that even he fears. And that's something Michael Jordan definitely possessed. You know that famous saying, right? If you have to tell someone that you're the king, then you're really not the king. Because his airness didn't really have the credentials to match the likes of Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, but he definitely did have the streets. He was a 2-time NBA champion back then, which obviously was a great achievement in its own right. And he was also a 3-time NBA MVP, winning 2 NBA Finals MVPs before he headlined the Dream Team of '92. Hindsight allows us to look back and realize just how great he is. But back then it wasn't exactly an open and shut case. Bird and Johnson had definitely achieved a lot more in their careers. And sure, their era was more than over. But it wasn't like they couldn't have a say in it. It's like LeBron James sitting on a table with Giannis, Nikola Jokic, and Joel Embiid and getting told that he isn't the leader of the pack right now. I know, it's not a great comparison because James's credentials are a lot better than Bird's. And those 3 can't compare to what Jordan had managed up until that point or later either. But it's fair to say that Giannis is a better current player than LeBron, right? And that's where you realize how intelligent Bird really is. Because he wasn't just a trash talker. He's also a genius with an incredible IQ. And that's the only way you get respected among peers and greats. Because he quickly realized this wasn't his era or Magic's. It was Michael Jordan's. Imagine LeBron telling Giannis that it's time for you to take over. That's basically what Bird said. We were then, he is now. And to understand this, the fact that MJ was in the middle of his first three-peat is absolutely bonkers. Of course, we have the gift of hindsight, and we know he'd go on to become the greatest player of all time, winning 4 more rings and many more accolades over the best career anyone could wish for. But for Bird to understand this in the early 90s just shows what a great person and genius he was. As a result, the reins of the Dream Team were handed over to Michael Jordan. And let's be honest, no Bird or Magic is getting close to his airness, let alone the likes of Chuck or Ewing. It was all about respect though, and that's what's made that team so great. MJ was offered co-captaincy, but he deferred it to Bird and Johnson both. Barkley needed to be humbled because that's the only way he would produce the performance that he did, becoming the scoring leader with 18 points as Team USA swept every team they came up against, with the closest winning margin being their 32-point win over Croatia for the gold medal. So from the Dream Team's realization that the early 90s were Michael Jordan's era, to crazy egos that resulted in some great stories, here's how Larry Bird put Charles Barkley in his place before getting shut up by his airness.
Oh, that was a good video right there, man.
From crazy
That was a good one right there. But yeah, man, I actually never knew that they even had that conversation either. Maybe that was a time when he was trash talking, but that was a good one right there that I found right there, man. That was definitely good. Oh man, that was crazy. But yeah, that was something, man. Hope y'all enjoyed that, cause I damn sure enjoyed that. But yeah, that's just about does it, man. We'll wrap it up here, man. If y'all got some videos you want me to do, leave them down in the comments down below. We definitely got some full games coming, and I'm trying to see if I can maybe do an hour. I don't know if I should do an hour or the whole game, or maybe break it up in pieces. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a vote and see what y'all think. But I'm definitely thinking about doing that Still by Bird for my first actual full game. I know that's going to be crazy, man. Actually watch that full game. I know a lot of y'all probably seen it already, but it ain't nothing wrong wanting to see it again. I'm pretty sure I know. But yeah, I'm about to wrap it up, man. On to the next video. Appreciate all the love and support, man. Appreciate all the love and support, man. But all I can say now is we're on the road to a mill now, y'all. That's the goal, right? And higher. That's the goal. We're on the road to a mill now. But yeah, I'm out, man. I love y'all. Appreciate all the love and support. Subscribe if you're new, man. Hit that like button. Turn on that bell. We uploading every single day. And yeah, that's about it. I'm out. I love y'all. Peace.